Christmas might be right around the corner, but it sure doesn't feel like it.
It's spring. It's spring in December.
But the untimely warm-up is causing some serious problems for animals and the environment. Good evening. I'm Chris Weimer in for Paul Butler.
And I'm Steve Hammond. Welcome to WBOC News at 6. Yes, it is December 14th, but it felt more like May 14th. And this has been the story for the last few days here on Delmarva. And today we're asking the question, what does this mean for our environment? Experts say this heating or warming trend is having an impact here on Delmarva. And as our Sussex County Bureau Chief Evan Kozlov reports, it's also happening around the world.
Who said fishing wasn't for December? That's the philosophy for Robert Downs, who dusted off the fishing rod this weekend to enjoy the December heat wave on the Indian River Bay.
Is it really December? I mean, the weather's great. It feels like springtime. I'm just enjoying it, just like probably the rest of humanity, unless you're a winter person and then you're really missing the snow.
So clearly, some are pretty happy about the warm-up, but what does this mean for the environment? To answer that question, we spoke with Chris Basin from the Delaware Center for the Inland Bays.
Many of us maybe have noticed some of the short-term impacts. You might be seeing that there's some bees flying around again. Maybe some of the flowers in your yard are starting to bloom out of season. And maybe you're even hearing some spring peepers in the wetlands.
And this is significant, Basin says, because these animals are coming out of dormancy and using some of the resources they stored up for the winter. And that can lead to a system shock when the cold temperatures inevitably return. But Basin says there are multiple long-term changes as well. As the temperature heats up, algae blooms become more likely, which can pull the oxygen out of the water. Also, he says migration patterns have been greatly altered.
Many of our important fish species have changed, and they're coming by a lot later in the year now. And a great example of that are the striped bass. They used to come earlier in the fall. Now they're showing up, if they show up, later in winter.
But back on the bay, Downs continues to enjoy the sun while it lasts, although the impacts of this heat may be far-reaching.
Evan Kozlov reporting there. Mr. Basin there from the Center for Inland Bays says these changing migration patterns are also important for hunters because waterfowl are making their way down here to Delmarva far later in the year, and that makes for a rather uneventful start to the hunting season.